The Akan peoples live in many states located in southern Ghana. The majority live in the dense forest, some along the Atlantic coast, and others in the savanna grassland at the edge of the forest. Many Akan make their living from the sea or live in small farming villages and work the land. The larger towns have become commercial centers, with population swelling to 2 or 3 times their normal size on market days. On such days, one can buy food and clothing. Farmers may purchase new hoes or have their cutlasses sharpened. Friends often meet at the Pito bar to chat over a gourd of locally brewed millet beer. Today, most people still live in the large compounds with a central courtyard where cooking and other communal activities take place. Often several related families share a single compound. The Akan honor a supreme god called Onyame at an altar referred to as the god's tree located in the corner of the courtyard in most domestic compounds. Sacrificial offerings to the high god are made in a bowl on top of the god's tree. Believers solicit assistance from one of his children, the abosom or gods. Abosom are believed to inhabit natural objects like rivers, lakes, and mountains, and if properly venerated, their powers can be tapped by man. A deity is domesticated and enshrined in a container, and periodic offerings are made to it. Here, libations of palm wine are presented to the shrine. In some cases, a priest mediates between the god and his human supplicants by placing a sacrificial receptacle on his head and becoming possessed by its spirit. In this state, the priest, or rather God, may communicate with those present. This small wooden doll, called an akwaba, would be carved at the suggestion of a priest for a woman suffering from infertility. If the woman bears a healthy child, the mother often names the child after the god and gives the akwaba to the shrine. The priest sets the doll next to the shrine where it serves as a symbol of the god's success and power. Not all figurative sculptures found in shrines are akwaba. Some represent spiritual assistance or even the god itself. When important and powerful persons die, an elaborate funeral is held. Members of the immediate family shave their heads and don red adinkra or mourning cloths. Others come to pay their respects wearing adinkra, whose stamped designs carry symbolic meaning. The deceased is often laid in state, drink is offered to guests, and people dance accompanied by a drum ensemble. In some areas, clay effigies are set on chairs or stools so that the deceased may in effect attend their own funeral. These sculptures are later placed in sacred groves with other effigies where they are periodically offered food and drink. The personal stool of the deceased chief or priest is ritually blackened using a mixture of eggs and ground charcoal. These stools serve as the focus for important rituals venerating the ancestors. Great attention is given the carving and consecration of stools, since the Akan believe that part of a person's soul resides in his or her personal stool. While in office, the stools of chiefs are washed as a part of a yearly purification ritual. The greatest stool is the so-called Sikajwa, or golden stool of the Asante, the best known of the Akan peoples. Tradition has it that the stool, a gift from the high god Onyame, was conjured from the sky by a famous priest sometime in the late 17th century. It is revered by the Asante for it embodies the very soul of the Akan nation. No one, not even the king of Asante, may sit on it. The Akan gold fields are among the richest in the world and are still exploited to this day. In the 14th century, Muslim merchants seeking gold arrived at the northern fringe of the Akan forest. To accommodate various groups competing for control over gold production, the Akan evolved into a highly stratified society comprising paramount chiefs, sub-chiefs, village and lineage chiefs, free people, and slaves. Almost every man owned a gold-weighing kit, which contained a balance scale, small boxes for storing gold dust, a full set of weights, spoons, shovels, and a blowpan. Early weights were decorated with geometric designs. Later, probably by the 18th century, representational weights were made. These weights provide a rich view of the material world familiar to the Akan: birds, fish, swords, sandals, seed pods, chairs. A large number depict social scenes: a mother and child, a priest performing a sacrifice, a man riding a horse. Many of the images carry proverbial meanings that teach or remind one of specific moral or ethical lessons. Gold objects served as symbols of rank and prestige. Chiefs used much of their gold in the production of regalia: swords, knives, soul washers' badges, and jewelry. Gold was also used to decorate stools, sandals, headgear, guns, umbrella finials, and gourds. The first European visitors to Kumasi, the Asante capital, witnessed the pomp and grandeur of the Asante nation. Their accounts and drawings, produced over 150 years ago, describe the royal spectacle called a durbar. The amount of regalia and size of a chief's entourage reflects his relative position in the Asante political hierarchy. The larger the entourage, the greater the chief. There is no mistaking which chief is the Asantehene, the king of Asante. An enormous entourage of attendants carry his royal regalia: shields, guns and linguist staffs, sandals, treasury bags, keys, stools, and drums. The Asantehene himself is carried in a palanquin under a huge velvet umbrella and is surrounded by his sword bearers. Because of the attraction of gold, the Akan have dealt with many foreign influences. Northern Muslim traders came to the Akan area as early as the 14th century. Today, one finds Muslim communities in many of the larger towns where they live in a separate part of town. Certain aspects of Islamic culture were integrated into Akan culture. Early in the 19th century, European visitors to Kumasi observed warriors bearing amulet-studded tunics called batakari, with paper amulets suspended from their teeth and horses covered with Arabic-inscribed claws. Today, Muslim scholars continue to produce inscribed claws for the chiefs. The Asantehene dons the great batakari and carries a spiritual shield in the form of a paper fan covered with Arabic script. This Middle Eastern vessel was probably brought into the Akan area in the 14th or 15th century. These pots likely served as the model for the kudro, which is used in various ritual contexts. Northern contexts also influenced arabesque-like designs in architecture, as well as some of the stamped motifs used on Adinkra cloths. Late in the 15th century, the Portuguese established the first European trading fort among the coastal Akan on what was appropriately referred to as the Gold Coast. Soon, most of the seafaring nations of Western Europe were vying for a piece of the Akan gold trade. By the second half of the 19th century, the British emerged as the dominant European power on the Gold Coast, and after a series of costly wars with the Asante, they asserted themselves as colonial overlords of the Akan. The changes in Akan life since then have been dramatic, and these changes are poignantly echoed in their art. The image of the lion, an animal not found in this part of West Africa, was borrowed from European heraldic art as a symbol of power and is seen on stools and gongs. Shrine sculpture may be clad in European dress and painted with commercial enamels. Gold jewelry incorporates new forms, like that of a watch. Though the forms change, the context in which these objects are used is not. There are, on the other hand, traditions in which the reverse occurs. Brass gold weights are no longer used in Akan commerce, but they are now made for the tourist trade and can be found in curio markets throughout Africa. Some gold weights have even been transformed into chess pieces. Gifted metal workers are using age-old techniques to create new forms, such as bottle openers and detailed miniatures of trucks, motorcycles, chainsaws, helicopters, and bicycles. Totally new aesthetic traditions have emerged. Throughout the Akan area, elaborate concrete sculptures are found. When traveling through southern and central Ghana, one sees many marvelous funerary monuments built along the road. On the coast, military companies erect shrines of concrete. The art of sign painting has also blossomed in this century. Hundreds of self-taught painters are mimicking the Western tradition of creating illusion of depth on flat surfaces. As they depict scenes of contemporary Ghanaian life, they show the many influences prevailing on Akan culture. Despite widespread westernization, Akan culture still sustains its unique character. School children receive a Western-style education, but even in this setting, traditional culture thrives. Dressed in traditional cloth, the children perform the dances of their ancestors.